Morning. Welcome to the American Relief Rescue Plan ESSER 3 Evidence-Based Activities and Interventions mini webinar. We are going to be focusing today on just a small portion of the American Rescue Plan ESSER 3. Per the American Rescue Plan, the LEAs must reserve not less than 20% of the funds to address lost instructional time through the implementation of evidence-based interventions. And below is a link to that section of the American Rescue Plan. We're wanting especially to address the disproportionate impact of the coronavirus on various student subgroups. They're included in ESSA and also in other areas of federal law. So make sure that you're really focusing on each major racial and ethnic group, which for your LEA may include Hispanic and Native American. It may include also then economically disadvantaged students, children with disabilities, English learners, migrant, can be even adjusted according to gender, also including students experiencing homelessness and children and youth in foster care. So as you see, we have a wide range of subgroups that we want to specifically look at as we're looking at addressing instructional loss. Through this, we're wanting to have interventions, and the interventions provide a means for students to receive additional support in response to individual student instructional and behavioral needs. So not only are we looking at instructional learning loss, we're also looking at what types of behavioral supports do your students need as well. Here's the traditional multi-tiered instruction framework. We have tier 1, which is your core. So you have your instruction that's provided to all students in your general education class. You have tier 2. Note this includes instructional and behavioral interventions. We're really moving in Idaho from RTI to MTSS, the multi-tiered systems of support. So I really want to emphasize that we're both addressing instruction and behavioral needs. And generally, these interventions are in a small group, and they are in addition to whole and small group instruction provided by the Gen Ed classroom. They are never to replace that core instruction, both full group and small group. Then your tier 3 would be even more additional support, both instructional and behavioral interventions, to provide for students who are not adequately supported with tier 2 and tier 1. So you may have students at various points among your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It may even be for a while you really want to focus on some tier 3 with a particular student or a small group of students, but then later on might not need that intensive of support and maybe still continue to receive tier 2 and tier 1 support. So think of it as being fluid as well. Some instructional interventions, and one of the reasons we're doing this now as opposed to this fall, is because some of you, for example, are already doing some summer learning or some summer enrichment. Think about maybe some additional ways that you can support your students that are experiencing instructional loss or need additional behavioral support. Also then extended day once we get back into the school year and comprehensive after school programs. You're already starting to think about those things, how you want to spend these additional funds. And so we wanted to reach out to you now to be thinking about that. And again, we mentioned extended school year programs. Maybe you're doing summer school now, maybe even you want to do in the fall a jump start a couple of weeks before the school year starts to assist those students as well. Tutoring is another area, whether it be one-on-one or whether it be small group. And then other evidence-based interventions. I know last week, Jill Matthews presented a webinar on community schools. Community schools are a great way to offer various evidence-based interventions at that type of facility. You could have tutoring involved there, but also you're supporting them with perhaps food banks, clothing banks, counseling services, all of those kind of things that go to support the whole child. Again, just want to emphasize, in addition to academic needs, also be thinking about social, emotional, and mental health issues. And again, we want to support all of our students. And as far as the evidence-based part of the intervention, there's 4 different categories, and those are outlined in ESSA. And we certainly want you to focus on, as much as possible, the strong evidence and moderate evidence. If it's been used and been shown to be effective, whether it be in your district or charter, in the state, nationally, in pockets here or there, that's what we're looking for. You may also be looking at perhaps some that show promising evidence and demonstrates a rationale. If you really do your research and say, you know, there's not a lot of places where this has been used, but we really feel like it's getting the results we need, or maybe there have been a few research studies, but there's not a lot of data collected, but you're saying the evidence that is coming out, the research and studies that have coming out are showing that it is promising, and you want to use that intervention, that is allowed as well. Strong evidence from at least one well-designed and well-implemented experimental study. Moderate evidence from at least one well-designed and one well-implemented quasi-experimental study. And again, if you are feeling like it's in one of those categories, we're good with that. I know on your CFSGA, sometimes we get the question, I don't know whether to mark strong evidence or moderate evidence. One of those categories, if what you're reading or what you're researching supports that, that's what we're looking for. And again, promising evidence, maybe it's still looking at some controls here, and same with demonstrates a rationale. But again, if you see that it's likely to improve student outcomes and you feel strongly, and as a team, you've talked about it and want to go that direction, that is good. Then here are some examples of evidence-based interventions. For example, Literacy Foundation. We all know in order to have strong academics, whether it be in ELA, whether it be in math, whether it be science, even the arts type of things, we need strong literacy foundation. In visiting with some school districts recently, that's what one of the districts told me, that they're going to concentrate some of their learning loss funds on, as well as their state learning loss funds. They're also going to use some of their ESSER 3 because they said it is so important. We want to make sure we have those literacy foundations. So one of them is providing an all-day kindergarten for all students. Maybe they've had it at a few of their schools, but this fall, they're going to provide it for all of their students at all of their schools. It may even be literacy foundations at your upper elementary. Some even middle school and high school students have gaps in those skills that need to be filled in. So please seriously think about that as one of your options. Focused tutoring. And again, when we're doing tutoring, we're talking about really hands-on type things. It may look very similar to some tier 1, 2, and 3 things that you're doing now, but just want to remind you, make sure you use manipulatives, pictorial representations, use movement, involve the whole child, not just a sit and get type situation, not just a sit and fill out this worksheets type situation. Want it to be really involved, and it can be across various academic areas as well. It may still be perhaps a reading or a literacy foundation type things, but maybe you're also bringing in some real life situations and some math problem solving to build those foundational skills and vocabulary, those kind of things, which kind of leads into the next area as far as increasing skills across your subject areas. We've mentioned STEAM, we've mentioned STEM, there's even STREAM, where they say include the reading in that, but integrate your science and your technology and your engineering and your mathematics and also your arts. For example, maybe you have a robotics club at the elementary, middle, or high school level, and you're involving reading, you're involving technology and engineering and math, even some artistic things involved in that, and getting balance for your robot and those kind of things. Also creating a school mural. You could actually have your students read about different kinds of murals in different places. You could talk about where you're going to design that. You could do measuring, you could do math, you could make a representation of it on graph paper and then translate that to your wall. So all sorts of ideas in order to make these project related type things, whether it be summer type programs, whether it be after school programs, whether it be even during your core, or it could even be during an elective class period. But really broaden out and think about how can we integrate the whole child. And as I mentioned, increase overall support for students and families by implementing a community school within the district or charter community. Or some of you already have some community school involvement. Maybe you can expand that. Maybe you can expand the supports that you're offering for students for counseling. Maybe you can expand some tutoring services. So try to think outside the box, and what are some things in addition to what you're already doing that we can address time that some of our students lost because of the pandemic. Again, some of your schools were open all school year. You're feeling really good about things, but we have this 20% of the ESSER 3 that you want to make sure that you're targeting, looking at your data and targeting those areas where your students need it the most. Here then are just some resources. The first one is US Ed put out, and it talks about those 4 different evidence-based levels. What Works Clearinghouse has a lot of resources, and it even has a section on learning loss, instructional loss, those kind of things. They are developing their resources as well. Evidence for ESSA is if you're looking for curricular materials that you're saying, we think we need some stronger materials. We're going to be having some paras working with some of our students. And so we want something that's really out there, that's easy to use. That gives you some really good references as well that you can plug those in. Additional resources, Visible Learning has Hattie's various things and effect size. Go there and look and see what kinds of things give us the most bang for our bucks. We know that if it has a high effect size, we can accelerate that learning. So look at those things. Our COMP Center, the Comprehensive Center Network, has a summer learning and enrichment collaborative collection, and also just some general Comp Center things are listed on their website. And then also our partners with the Regional Educational Laboratory, REL, they also have some specific COVID-19 evidence-based resources. So there's lots and lots of resources out there. Also, if you're wanting more specific resources that have to do with ESSER 3 and with federal programs funding, here are some various resources that are there, and they are on our newly configured website. We had various folks that have helped revamp. It used to be ESSER 1, ESSER 2, ESSER 3. Now you go to the Pandemic Relief Fund's website to find all of those great resources there. Just a reminder from Alexandra, we want to make sure that we do not have any fraud or abuse. And so if you have those things that you need to look into, there's that resource page. And then also just know that you have this huge team to assist you here at the State Department, from our director, Karen C., our financial specialist, Alexandra, who many of you know that you've been on webinars for other ESSER funds with them. Stacy Rico is our new Title 1A and 4A coordinator. Jill Matthews, of course, with family and community engagement and foster care. I am working with 2A and professional development, and I will also be assisting with rural education. And we have also then our folks that are in EL and migrant. We've got Maria Puga, who is English learner, and we've got Sarah Seamount with migrant. We have Suzanne Peck with both homeless education and neglected delinquent. And as many of you know, Tyson Carter deals not only with school improvement, but also supporting our superintendents, our principals, and other school leaders. We've got our whole network of capacity builders under that network. And then also our support people. We can't do it without them. We have Kelly Wheeler that assists with EL and migrant. We've got Lisa English and Michelle Pereira, who assists with all of our federal programs. We've got Michelle Clement Taylor, who's our Equitable Services private school ombudsman, and also Sandy Bonus as an administrative assistant, as well as we have also an additional volunteer staff person right now assisting them. Maddie is assisting us as well right now. So please, please, please reach out to us if you have ideas that you'd like to brainstorm with any of us with. we're glad to brainstorm with you. But we wanted to draw that attention to that 20% required for instructional loss of time and to fill those gaps for those students most at need. So we appreciate your partnership and want to offer the opportunity if anyone has any questions at this time. I am seeing none in the chat. Michelle, are any coming your way?
No questions on my end either.
Okay, so we will be posting this. And again, if you'd like to visit with us more about this and get other ideas for using any of your ESSER funds, please feel free to reach out to us at any time. And thank you so much for all you do, and we appreciate your partnership. Have a great week. Take care.